up, internet land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review. Today we're going to be reviewing the Fanstoys spoiler. This is not Breakdown. Of course, it doesn't have anything to do with Breakdown. It only vaguely looks like Breakdown. But yeah, so this is really kind of interesting. Um, uh, I I borrowed this from a buddy of mine, and for the review, and a couple days later he's like, so how is it? And I told him my review can be summed up in one word: witchcraft. Like, seriously, this thing is freaking crazy. So we reviewed the DX9 breakdown, and it turns into a Countach, a Lamborghini Countach, the same size, the exact same size as one of the Takara ones, which I think is fantastic. Since these are all supposed to be in the same continuity together, then their Countaches would be all the same size because they didn't make different size Countaches. Um, and so I thought that was great. In response, they made the figure a little shorter, but I was like, yeah, personally, I don't think that these need to be. I mean, they turn into cars. Why would they be so much larger than your average car transformer, anyhow? So that was fine by me. And then DX9 was like, okay, we want to make a bigger transformer because Zeta Toys kind of set the standard with the bigger, taller combiners. So they're like, well, we got to make one that big. But to do that, we're just going to have to upscale the figure. So they upscaled their own figure, and it makes a figure about as tall as this one, but it makes a car that's like massive, It's way huger than the other, and than the car Masterpiece Countaches. Fans Toys somehow did both. He is like literally like a third taller than, the robot mode of the Takara Countaches, but he makes the same size car. And it's like, what the hell? And I know that they did that with some like impressive engineering. A lot of people seem to complain about how skinny he is. But I don't have any problem with that at all, especially because of the like voodoo that this guy does. And it was just, I'm a sucker for great engineering, and Fans Toys typically has really great engineering. Frustrating to transform, oftentimes, and this guy is actually really no exception to that, but impressive engineering nonetheless. So let's get down to accessories. In terms of accessories, he comes with a gun. His gun is, what is this schmutz on the back? I literally just pulled it out. Like 2 seconds ago, and I haven't even looked at it properly. No, I've been playing with him in robot mode for all this time. I've actually had him for like a month and a half. Got some schmutz on him. Some schmoo. Alright, that's fixed. All painted in one even shade of this metallic blue, which is a wonderful shade of metallic blue, but like no other like accents or details or whatnot. Masterpiece style peg. Plugs right into his hand. There's a little slot in there, as I'm sure we all know by now. Fingers curl around. Ish. Thumb keeps it all in place. And there he is. He holds his gun, which is great. Holding a gun is good, if that's your deal. He also comes with an alternate face. Eesh. He also comes with an alternate face, which is this like face. It doesn't quite look like anger. It looks more like shock, maybe even a bit of disgust. There's no good way to take a look at it. I'm gonna have to open this goddamn thing up. I don't like opening up stuff. I really don't. Ah, thanks, man. Just fall over. That's all right. Like I'd rather keep somebody else's stuff all sealed up, to be perfectly honest. It's not only because I'm lazy. It's because I believe that other people should have the joy and experience of opening up their stuff. And here I am robbing them of it. Alright. There's his face. Kind of a, somebody fondled my testicles on the train kind of an expression. And to do that, I suspect you just kind of yank on his chin. We'll wedge it off with this. Well, crap. That literally just flew across my room and I don't even know what happened to it. So I'm going to leave you with this guy for just a moment. That's the expression I have in my soul right now. Hold that thought. Alrighty, I found it. Woo. Alright, let's try this again. I'll keep my thumb over his face this time. Yeah, so I found it. It's all good. But alrighty, so let's get down into articulation. Get all this out of my way. So his head is on a pivot that goes up and down, rotates just fine. No side to side, but it's not a ball joint. His arm will rotate about on this soft D10. We'll go out that far. Bicep swivel here. Double joint at the elbow allows for a full bend at the elbow. Also is part of his transformation, but we'll get to that in a bit. Rotation here at the wrist. He also does have a little bit of pivot this way due to the way his hand is put together on transformation. He's got one single, his thumb is just on a ball joint right there, and then he's got two joints on each of his other digits. And I didn't even mean to do that. It just did it. So, fair range of articulation in his hands. They make a pretty decent looking fist. He's got he's got a crunch here. He's got a dedicated joint for a crunch, but it, like, this like tab fits into like this like little keyed slot, and it's kind of a bitch, you know. So you can definitely sit here and crack them in half, you know, but it's not something that you do lightly, and it's got his own little list of issues. Oh, one of the things, I don't know if you noticed this, but when I pulled that out, we'll pull it out again. This flap here came on down. So this is a metal hinge on a metal part with a metal screw that keeps it all together. And that just gets loose. Just hardly without even trying. Which is, when I first got it, it was way too tight. But as I've handled it a couple times, that particular joint has become a bit loose. Nothing else really has, so I'm not like worried about the longevity of these figures or whatnot, but stuff like that is actually to be aware of. It will not come out while this... it won't come out unless you click that ab crunch. Unless you're doing the transformation, in which case you want it to come out, so it's not really a bad thing. Anyhow, front skirt, rear skirt, leg goes forward that much, goes back that much, goes out for about 60% of a Van Damme. He's got quite a rotation on his upper thigh. Really rudimentary. Oh no, it's not really rudimentary. He's got a double joint here. What am I talking about? I just bent it and didn't want to bend all the way. Decent bend on his knee. His ankle tilts hella. His ankle actually tilts more than his hips allow for, so yeah. plus a fair amount of up and down on this. So he's got a good range of posability on him. He's nice and hefty. Especially he doesn't feel as heavy in robot mode as he feels in car mode, and I think that part of that is just because it's so compact. And when you hold him next to like one of these guys, this guy feels just like a featherweight, and this feels like a desk weight, you know? But let's get into that transformation right meow. This is really kind of wild. So I am going to start with the arms. So what you want to do is you want to come in here. We're just going to take a little spudger and pop this open. And for the first time in forever, you actually don't want to keep his hand into a fist. You want to fold his thumb in and then kind of have his fingers out like that. Because if they're in a fist, it won't close properly. So, but like this, and if you put them straight all the way out, it also won't close properly. You gotta like kind of like curl in some of his fingers. So something like that will work just fine, and that will close up fairly tightly. You want to take his arm and you want to bend his arm all the way back like that. That will allow you to put this in the right position to deal with this kibble. You're going to kind of swing this out a little bit, flip this around, and then continue swinging it out. Now you're going to take this, rotate the bicep, fold this all in, and then these little details are going to tab up together like so. This is going to go back to the way it was. Again with the other side. Spudger, do your job. Bam. I know it's a brick separator, but it spudges too. So thumb is in, fingers are slightly bent. Fold that, close that up. Put his arm in this position like so. Fold this out ever so slightly. Rotate this around. Fold it out the rest of the way. Rotate at the bicep. Plug these together. Put this back into place. You're going to want to open up the whole body. So kind of yank on his chest while at the same time kind of pulling on his back. Let's get this a little bit farther back, a little bit angled up. There we go. So the head is going to go with the chest, and then this is going to kind of fold out this way, which is weird, but it's all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. So you're going to take this and just fold his head straight back. You're going to take this and you're going to fold the windshield out. Like so. Like so. And then you've got these panels in here. You're going to fold them in. In. It's nice. It's glorious. It's beautiful. So there's a weird sort of way, because these panels need to go in, but they need to fold around this. But this whole thing gets in the way while it's out. So I'm actually going to get to that in a little bit. Keep that in mind. We're just going to deal with his legs a bit more first. We're going to take this. You see how this is like all flopsy now? Yeah. It's not that big of a deal, to be honest. It looks like a big deal. And I imagine that there's a lot of people out there be like, my Fanstoys. But it's actually really not that big of a deal. So you want to fold up all of his skirt armors, including his dick plate, like that. You want to take and you want to rotate this at this. Oh my gosh, there's a face in his crotch. You want to rotate it at the face. And then fold this all back down, all of his skirt armors. That's going to become important later. And let's get into his legs. So, this one leg, we're just going to focus on one leg at a time. go ahead and pop this panel open. You're going to take this panel right here, and it's going to kind of fold around to the other side because it's on these multiple parts, right? Let's lower this so we're looking at his legs actually. Just fold this over to the other side. You're going to pop that right there to get all of this out. This is going to kind of fold around to the other side to get it out of the way. And then what you want to do is fold this panel in here. Fold this panel out here. Fold this foot around. You're going to kind of open up that door. Fold this foot around like so. That'll all fold into place. And then you're just going to kind of rotate this around. Actually, before I get that all the way in, you want to close this panel up a little bit more so that this tab, there's a tab right here on this panel. This tab needs to go inside where the wheel was on his robot mode. And then the actual wheel, you want to take and fold it out to the outside. And so then you just kind of fold this in and kind of maneuver this into position vaguely. Fold this in. Things will kind of tab into place. And there you have one leg basically done. Let's do that with the other leg. By the way, QC number 33 did a good job on this guy. He's really not bad. There's actually quite a bit of die cast on this figure, and you can feel it when you're holding it. Because so due to the complexity of this design, like there's a lot of things that if they made them out of plastic, I'm sure that they would just like snap, because they'd have to be, you know, small enough to fit in the space required, but rigid enough to deal with, you know, all the stuff that this transformation is doing. And so as a result, they've made a lot of parts of this out of metal, and it feels just premium. Pull that out. Fold this tire around to the other side. I folded that panel in already. We're going to kind of bend this a bit. Fold that panel in like so. Yeah. This is kind of a tricky panel to do because you've got to get it past this kibble here. So you have to bend the knee partly to do it. Bend this knee joint here. But once you get it in there, then you have to get it to come back and sit flush against the inside of that car, because it needs to wedge in between this blue strut right here and his thigh. Otherwise, you're not getting anywhere. Put that in the right place. Fold this over. You do want to make sure that these skirt armors, they're in this position in robot mode. You do have to, and I showed you this earlier, but I'm really pointing it out right now. You have to make sure they're in that position. Otherwise, the whole transformation is just borked. All right. So, all of that goes together right now over me. All right. So that's all together. Now, we're going to start dealing with this piece back here. So the trick to this is you have to get this basically almost all the way closed up. And in that position, you can take this and fold it all the way in. Because if it's open, the arm gets in the way. And if you move this thing around, like this metal strut that it wraps around gets in the way and whatnot. So you have to have it basically all the way closed up almost. And then that will just fold right in. Now that it's in, you can actually open this back up and kind of squish it a bit and whatnot. This is actually fine enough to work for this. I turned the waist. This is actually fine enough to work for his transformation right now. But I am bringing this up because it makes this next step a little bit easier, which is we're going to take these and we're going to bring them into place. There's a hinge here and the hinge on the shoulder, so we're going to kind of like go like this to bring them down. There's a tab here, there's a tab here, and there's a tab here. Tab, tab, tab. And for the other side, tab, tab, tab. Come on. Yeah, there we go. All right, now for this part, this is actually surprisingly tricky. What you've got to do is you've got to get the windshield past the doors. Like so. And then there's a big old tab right here under my thumb. That's going to go in. I'm going to leave these doors open for just a little bit longer, because now everybody's all like, it seems that companies these days are all fired up about all the Countach fancy stuff that it does. So you've got the opening boot, you've got the opening doors, you've got the headlights. Why does that not want to come up? Headlights. Headlights. Okay, I can't seem to get the headlights out. They do come out. There's little painted details in there. But at this point I would have to untransform the whole front of the car to get that. So F that, never mind. Click those into place. Click that into place. And there he is in his car mode. And it's an excellent looking car mode. You know, when you compare it to the other Takara Countachs, it's like, oh yeah, you know what I really like about this figure? I really like how, like, the panels come out to, you know, cover up and fill in the lower leg. This guy, it's like, oh yeah, I really like the way he, like, you know, bends time and space to do some mass shifting bullshit that's not supposed to be done. Like, what? Oh. One step I forgot. So, yeah. There he is in comparison with one of the Takara ones. And you know, I still don't believe that that a combiner guy needs to have a robot mode. If he turns into a car the same size as the other cars, he doesn't need to have a robot mode that, like, towers over the other robots. I still don't believe that needs to happen. But for something like this that actually does it physically in the real world, I'll allow it. That's completely badass. Only gimmicks that he does in this mode, you can take this little gun and plug it in right here. There, he can shoot around while he drives. Rubber tires. The robot mode actually pegs together fairly well. It's freaking heavy. Actually, I've got a scale. Hold on. I use the scale for some of my projects. It says hi. Hi. So, it's registering 0 grams right now. I put this guy on here. 123 grams. Fairly lightweight. This guy here, 314 grams. That's way more than twice as heavy. Like, this guy is dense. He's heavy. He's chunk. I've transformed this guy quite a few times, and I haven't had any issues with paint and scratching on him, except now that I say that, there's a chip right effing there. Okay, so I've only had very minor issues with paint chipping, but very minor. A nice pearlescent cover on the outer shell of this figure. Almost all of these panels are metal, by the way. Metal, 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 metal. I think that's plastic. That's metal, that's plastic. Just, I'm blown away by this, mostly by the engineering. The robot mode looks great. The vehicle mode looks great. This is a very typical Fanstoys figure in that the vehicle mode, the alt mode looks amazing, and the robot mode looks amazing, and the transformation itself is a pain in the ass. And it really is. But it's not like super difficult. As I showed you, there's a lot of technical points to it, but it's not like an overly complex transformation. So I recommend it. I'm actually really looking forward to the other stuff that to what future bullshit Fanstoys is going to pull on us. I'm looking forward to it. Anyhow, everybody, thanks for watching. You guys are fantastic. Everyone, be good to each other and have a great day. See ya. Bye.